Hey Lan, hi folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I use him pronouns. The sun's almost setting. I filmed a video just before this and I'm filming another video because I'm in that content brain dumping mode. And in this video, I want to talk about a concept that is important for us to know and to sort of implement in our lives to help us get through tough times in a way, and that concept in psychology is called radical acceptance. I'm going to link a video down below about the time I cut my foot accidentally and bled and had to go to hospital to get it stitched up. But radical acceptance is accepting our situation. Like, for example, if some crisis happened, we accept that it is what it is without judgment, not being like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? And sort of letting the emotional brain take over. It's accepting this is happening. This is my reality right now. It is happening. I can't change it. What can I do next? It's basically accepting the present and current reality as it is, without judging it and without questioning it. In the moment of crisis or high stress situation, I think, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm not saying that we can't, I'm not saying it's not important to reflect on events afterwards and think about what happened and being like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? What are the factors that led to this happening? And stuff like that. But in the moment of, say, high stress and we need to quickly take action, this is where this concept sort of comes in handy, is quickly accepting what is happening in our reality so that we can be proactive and take action to either get out alive or survive or do what needs to be done to get us to safety again, or safe place, survive, get out of some dangerous situation alive and get back to safety, escape the danger. This concept is helpful to know and practice. I have a concrete, I didn't realize anyone was in that building. I was swimming over there before and didn't realize people were in there. Fascinating. I have a, actually, the last thing I want to do is record this twice. I have a concrete example for you about sort of implementing this radical acceptance. Last month, someone I knew attempted suicide, and I didn't know what to do with that information. When I first heard that information from this person, I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, but then my brain, the way my brain works is I instantly go into rationalization mode. And my rationalization is, if this person just told me they attempted suicide, that means this person is alive. They're alive at the very least. I don't know their state, but they're alive. And I knew that this person was in hospital. So I knew that they were alive, and I knew that they weren't alone. And this person had professionals around them, like professionals in their care. So they're alive and they're not alone. And they're in a healthcare setting, like emergency healthcare setting. So that gave me some reassurance. So first I rationalized that and I'm like, what can I do now? And then I responded to this person asking how they're doing. And then that was sort of my actionable step. And when I was asking this person, who was my friend, how they're doing, I didn't bombard them with info. Like as much as I wanted to know what was going on and what happened and sort of what led up to that, all the contextual information around it, I didn't bombard my friend being like, tell me what happened, what happened, blah, 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 blah. I was just like, how are you doing? And just making sure he's okay. Yep. And then once I did all that rationalization stuff and then I did what I could do, I sort of broke down a little, and I'm just like, and then all the feelings hit me because I did the radical acceptance thing, and then I rationalized it, and then I figured out what I can do in that moment, and then I let myself sit with the emotions and being like, well, this is heavy. What do I do with these feelings? Again, it's hard for me to sit with feelings without trying to rationalize it. So it helps, but it also backfires in a way. It helps me in the moment of the stressful event or the hearing something very difficult, but then it also backfires when I'm trying to sit with emotions and my brain automatically goes to rationalizing things when there is nothing to rationalize, and I cannot possibly fill in all the gaps of what happened until I actually speak to my friend and have the appropriate time to ask him about what happened. Yes, I was sick of emotions, told I sort of offloaded to a few people in my life. And yeah, that's one example of using radical acceptance. So it was like the logic first and making sure, yeah, trying to make sure he was okay, and then make sure I'm okay, and then be logical about the circumstances of present, which is he's alive because they told me, and he's in hospital and he's being supported. So yeah, that's just one example of how radical acceptance helped me sort of be calm in the moment and then let all the waves of emotions hit me afterwards once I've done what I could in that moment and in that situation. And honestly, that being able to radically accept something and then be rational about it and being like logical steps of what to do next didn't come to me naturally, because I used to experience really bad depression and anxiety, and depression and anxiety was the opposite of realistic rationalization. And even last year when my headspace was in a very different place and I was in a more dark place and I was a lot more, say, emotionally driven, and my emotions had a lot more power over me than actual like logic and reality and like the reality of what was best for me. I was in a very different space. I was more emotionally volatile. That is the best word to explain it. My headspace and myself was a lot more emotionally volatile, a lot more emotionally affected by things. And that's because I was constantly overloaded, and I didn't know how to slow down my nervous system whenever something stressful happened and actually think logically in the moment. Honestly, even when things happened last year, especially in the dating scene and being in a very unhealthy relationship, even when logic hit me, I dismissed it. When logically I knew this person wasn't good for me and I knew that I wasn't happy, my lovey-dovey feelings and my emotion brain really took over, and I acted based on emotions as opposed to logic and what was best for me long term. And so sort of how I got to this stage, for lack of better words, of being able to better radically accept stressful situations and then deal with it in the moment is through slowing down everything. Was sort of purging purging all the things that aren't helpful for me anymore, and actually giving myself space to slow down and process things properly and build the skills necessary to have better emotional control. Because if we don't have emotional control, then we cannot rationally act, if that makes sense. Because our emotional brain works first. Whenever something stressful happens, or anything happens, our emotional brain jumps in first. It is the first to act. I think that's because fight or flight and survival from the human race from like ages ago, ancestors, we need fight or flight. We need the adrenaline rush. We need to be able to sort of fight or flight. There's also freeze. We had this sort of innate response to survive. But now that we don't live in the age of dinosaurs anymore, or wild animals running to our door, and a lion running to our door and trying to bite our head off, we don't actually need that anymore to that degree. Yet it's still in us, and we haven't really tamed it. It's just there. It's innate. It's wired into our biology. But the circumstances of that context have changed, yet we haven't learned how to tame it better. The first thing is actually learning emotional control, and sort of feeling emotions, right? In the moment, feeling the emotions and letting it have its part, but not letting it drive the wheel. So a few things I've done that really helped me. First thing is, I mentioned is purge. So getting out of an unhealthy relationship and then having time to myself to heal, like properly heal, properly grieve the relationship, and properly find myself again after being in that relationship really helped. And or having independent space out of a unhealthy, toxic relationship really allowed my mind to see things from a different light. And that allowed me to work on myself better and learn better emotional control, because I wasn't constantly being influenced by the relationship and constantly having my nervous system activated from being in an unhealthy relationship. And sort of goes the same with friendships. Purging friendships that aren't helpful for me anymore. It might not be unhealthy, but it's no longer serving me, and it's not reciprocal. Purging that, like disconnecting from that, disconnecting from that, giving myself space from that. Friendships that are reciprocal, friendships where the other person doesn't really show interest or seem to care much, purging myself from that. Like it's not just human connections, just like purging yourself from things that you feel aren't serving you anymore, things that aren't helpful for you anymore, things that are controlling you and you don't really have control over it, things that you know aren't things you want to do, but sort of stuck in a cycle of doing. Just trying to purge yourself from that, rid yourself from that, disconnect yourself from that is one thing. The other thing is giving our brain space to breathe. With constant content consumption, regardless of platform, constant content consumption, information consumption from the digital world and in person, our brains can only take so much, and it needs space to process things and breathe. And something I found really helpful for me is actually being mindful of how much digital content I consume, when I consume it, how much I consume, when I consume it, and how often I consume it. That links to how much. So when I consume content and how much content I consume. Because sometimes when I noticed in the past when I'm already overstimulated, I keep watching content. I keep staring at screens. Even early this year, already being overstimulated. I kept overstimulating myself, and my brain starts getting headaches, and my brain just like, stop. My brain basically screaming, stop this now. I'm sick of this. I need space from constant input into the brain, and I need space to breathe and actually process everything that's already gone into my brain, because it's already clogged up. And so I'm very much more mindful now of my relationship with the digital world, including content consumption. Yep. There are periods where I would consume more content than others, and other times where I'm like, I don't want to watch any content at all because I'm already like, my brain's already done. So just being mindful of that and acknowledging your own boundaries, and learning how to listen to your gut. Learning how to listen to your gut over time through dissociating it with constant impulsive responses and emotions that are more sabotaging than helpful, and then learning how to listen to yourself. I think that's very helpful as well. I guess the bottom line is, if we can't clear our minds and our brains don't have the resources to sort of deal with high stress situations or crisis because it's already been constantly flooded, then when it comes down to that situation, our brains are like, my resources are depleted. And then it doesn't really have anything to go off because it's already been burnt before it happened. So yeah, letting our brain breathe. I think that's all for this video. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to add to this video. I'm gonna leave it there as the sun is also setting. I hope you enjoyed, folks. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Rock on champs, rock on Lionhearts.